How Jake became fluent in 5 months. Can someone really learn English fluently in just 5 months? Most people would say it's impossible, but a 26-year-old guy from Brazil named Jake proved them wrong. He went from not being able to say even the simplest sentences to holding natural conversations with native speakers in less than half a year. And what's even crazier, he did it without expensive classes, without moving to an English-speaking country, and without wasting years on methods that don't work. Today, I'm going to walk you through Jake's entire journey step by step, the failures, the breakthroughs, and the method that turned him fluent in record time. The failure that changed everything. Jake always dreamed of working for a big international tech company. He loved coding, spent years sharpening his skills, and finally got the email he had been waiting for. Congratulations, you've been selected for an interview. He was over the moon. He pictured himself moving to the US, earning a high salary, and building a new life surrounded by the best engineers in the world. But then came the interview, a moment he would never forget. The call began. 3 interviewers appeared on Zoom, and they spoke at what felt like double speed. Jake couldn't understand. His heart pounded as the first question came. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and your experience in software development? He froze. He knew the answer in his head, but when he tried to speak, the words crumbled. Yes. I am software. I do coding. Many projects. Good. Very good. The silence that followed cut deep. The interviewers moved on, but he couldn't answer that either. Finally, one of them smiled politely and said, "All right, Jake. Thank you for your time." The job was gone, not because he wasn't skilled, but because he couldn't speak English. That night, Jake realized the truth. English wasn't just another skill, it was the key, and without it, he would remain invisible. But instead of giving up, he made a decision. He would master English, no matter what it took. But here's the twist. Instead of following the traditional path of expensive classes and grammar drills, Jake decided to break the rules entirely. Why traditional methods don't work. Jake had already tried the normal way before. He once paid for online English classes. The teacher made him memorize endless word lists, repeat grammar rules, and fill out worksheets. After 3 months of effort, he tested himself in a real conversation. And the result? He couldn't speak. At all. That's when he understood. English isn't learned by memorizing. It's learned by using. If he wanted results, he needed a system that worked in real life. So Jake tossed the textbooks aside and built his own plan. A plan designed for speed, for fluency, and for actual conversations. And that plan started with something completely unexpected. The first 15 days, rewiring the brain. Instead of learning more words, Jake spent the first 2 weeks focusing only on the words he already knew. Why? Because fluency isn't about the size of your vocabulary. It's about being able to use it instantly. Step 1. He created a survival sentence list. 50 simple, essential sentences he could use every single day. Phrases like, "Can you repeat that? I don't understand. I need a coffee, please." Every morning, he read those sentences aloud, 10 times each. At first, his tongue felt heavy, but by day 5, they rolled off naturally. Step 2, he began talking to himself in English, constantly. In the shower, "I am taking a shower. The water is hot. I feel relaxed." While making breakfast, "I am cooking eggs. I like eggs. They are easy to cook." At first, it felt silly, but soon he realized this was his private classroom. No judgment, no fear, just practice. Step 3. He practiced 5 sentences a day from movies or real conversations. Not just reading them, copying them exactly, with the same rhythm, tone, and emotion as the native speaker. This not only improved his fluency, but also made his English sound alive. By the end of the first 15 days, something clicked. He stopped translating in his head. English started coming out automatically. But this was just the warm-up. What Jake did next would completely transform the way he spoke. The question-answer method. Jake noticed something strange. Even when he knew the words, his brain felt slow. He hesitated, searching for the right sentence. That's when he invented a drill he now calls the question-answer method. Here's how it worked. He asked himself a simple question in English. He forced himself to answer immediately, without thinking too much. He repeated the process, adding more detail each time. For example, what did you do today? First answer, I worked. Second answer, I worked on my project. Third answer, I worked on my project for 3 hours. Fourth answer, I worked on my project for 3 hours, then I took a break and had some coffee. Every time the answer grew longer, smoother, and more natural. This trained his brain to think in English instead of translating. Within weeks, his sentences flowed faster, his confidence grew, and he was finally holding mini conversations with himself. But one thing still gave him away, his accent. And that's when Jake discovered a method that would shock even native speakers. Fixing pronunciation. Without a teacher. Jake's accent was strong. Native speakers understood him, but it always reminded them he was a learner. He didn't want to just be understood, he wanted to sound natural. So he invented the echo technique. The rule was simple: copy native speakers exactly, like an echo. He chose clips from movies, YouTube videos, and podcasts. He played one sentence, paused, and repeated it with the same tone, speed, and emotion. From a movie, I don't know what you're talking about. Jake echoed, I don't know what you're talking about. From a podcast, it was a beautiful day, so I decided to go for a walk. Jake echoed, it was a beautiful day, so I decided to go for a walk. He repeated each line 10 times until it felt natural. After a month, the results shocked him. People began telling him, wow, your English sounds really natural. But Jake knew vocabulary was still holding him back. And the way he decided to fix it might surprise you. The story method for vocabulary. Instead of memorizing lists, Jake used the story method. Every day he picked 5 new words. Then he created a short story that used them all together. He read the story aloud 10 times and then used the new words in real conversations. Example. New words: excited, invitation, party, arrive, surprise. Story. I was very excited because I received an invitation to a big party. When I arrived, I got a huge surprise. It was my birthday party. This simple system stuck the words in his memory permanently. In 3 months, he had learned over 1,000 new words without boring memorization. Thinking in English, not translating. One of the biggest mistakes learners make is translating everything in their heads. Jake knew he had to escape that trap, so he trained himself to think in English directly. Here's how. He described everything around him in English. The sky is blue. The man is wearing a red shirt. I see children running. He asked himself questions in English and answered in English. What am I doing right now? I am drinking coffee and writing notes. He wrote a daily journal in English, starting with simple sentences and gradually making them more complex. After weeks of this routine, Jake noticed something incredible. He no longer translated. Words and sentences just came naturally. But his final breakthrough didn't come from speaking or vocabulary. It came from understanding grammar in a way no school had ever taught him. After weeks of this routine, Jake noticed something incredible. He no longer translated. Words and sentences just came naturally. But his final breakthrough didn't come from speaking or vocabulary. It came from understanding grammar in a way no school had ever taught him. For example, in school he had learned to say, I am learning English for 5 months. But natives said, I have been learning English for 5 months. That tiny difference made a massive impact. It wasn't about memorizing rules. It was about absorbing natural patterns. By studying real sentences, Jake began to sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident than ever. Conclusion. In just 5 months, Jake went from complete failure, unable to answer a single interview question, to fluent English, holding conversations with confidence. He didn't buy expensive courses, he didn't move to another country, and he didn't waste years memorizing useless rules. Instead, he built a system based on speaking daily, echoing native speakers, creating stories, and thinking in English. So here's the challenge. If Jake could do it in 5 months, what's stopping you? The truth is, fluency isn't about talent. It's about the system you follow and the effort you put in. And if you're ready to take your English to the next level, this story just proved you don't need to wait years. Your transformation could start today.